Good evening, Blue Jays. My name is Caitlin Miller, and I am the Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at Elizabethtown College. I am so excited tonight because I'm going to be introducing you to Niko Antonellos, class of 2013. He is here with me, and we're going to be featuring him this evening. Niko started his company Sidekicks Support Services during his senior year while studying and obtaining a degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing at Etown. His company provides personalized, consistent, and comprehensive support services for individuals with disabilities and their families. And we are really in for a treat this evening. Niko, I am so excited to be speaking with you. And without further delay, Niko, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Caitlin, thank you for having me. It's really great to be a part of this, and I feel honored to be talking with you, and hopefully seeing getting another E-Town people who are out there, can remember me and hopefully touch base again.
I'm sure they do, Niko. Your friends, your classmates, faculty, staff, and the athletics department as well. So I'm sure we have a good group watching us this evening, and we're just so excited to be here. So Niko, without further delay, let's kind of talk about first. I think it'd be great to kind of go into a timeline of how Sidekicks began, and let's begin with maybe why you chose E-Town in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I chose Etown. I mean, at the time, senior in high school, I was destined to be a professional soccer athlete and play in the MLS one day. And that was my biggest goals and dreams at that time. But, so I came, I love the soccer team. I love everything that Skip had to offer. The campus was amazing. And Etown's just one of those places where you just feel like at home, like it felt right to me. And that was just, I just do, I did 3 visits before that, but once I went to Etown, I knew that this was it. This is what I was looking for.
That's awesome. Well, and tell me a little bit about, Niko, tell me about your time while you were at Etown as a student.
Etown I had a great time at school. The relationships, the memories, growing as a person, playing on the soccer team. Overall, it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun going to college at Etown. And I always look back on those memories and still connect with, people who I graduated with. Sure. So yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah. No, I hear you, Niko. And I think one of the things that's so special about Etown is the people that you come into contact with, and it spans the entire campus. It's faculty, it's staff, it's students, it's even students that aren't even in part of your class here in your cohort. So tell me a little bit about, Niko, anybody who left a long-standing impression on you while you were a student.
Yeah, so I mean, the faculty and staff were great, and I mean, there was a couple people that really stuck out to me. I can't start without Petru in my entrepreneurship class. He was someone who really kind of shed the light on entrepreneurship and made it feel real, and that I could do it, and kind of in simple terms, like, didn't complicate it, and that is really just problem solving and creating value with solutions. And but him, Dr. Greenberg, who I was terrified of at first, but he really pushed me to participate and give my thoughts, and it's okay to have a wrong answer and not to be so shy in class, and but so he's someone I always knock on his door when I come back. Dr. Chokerlan was great too. She's really teaches a really good class in management and things like that. And Skip too. I mean, Skip was a great coach, great guy. I mean, he's a legend, and I don't have to tell you that or anyone else at Etown that Skip is a legend. But those are people that I am grateful that I've encountered in my life.
Yeah, no, and Niko, I hear you about Dr. Greenberg. I mean, during my time at Etown, I was a communications major, and I went and knocked on his door, and he helped me with a business administration minor. And he didn't know me at all, but he must have spent an hour with me talking about things. So yeah, I hear you on.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. So any friends or fellow classmates you kind of want to give a shout out to, Niko?
Oh yeah. it's just like looking back on, now in 2013, it feels like so long ago. Um, but it doesn't in a way, I don't know, it's weird, but
Yeah.
um, everyone who I hang out with is like doing such great things. Rob Candorin, who he was in New York City for a while, working at a big time ad firm, and now doing big things at Spencer's. Eric Weber, who was a year older than me, but
Yeah.
anytime I need anything about like marketing or anything like that, he's a phone call away. He started his own, company too, Westchester Views. I'll throw a plug in there for Eric.
Very
Um,
cool. You said, Niko, you
uh,
said Westchester Views.
Yes,
Very
Westchester Views. He's
okay.
got a great Instagram, a bajillion followers.
Great.
He really does a great job with
Yeah.
that. Some of my housemates, Ross Withrow, who has been in crypto since, years ago before anybody else. So he's probably really happy right now. Um, you know, I, Eric Carr, who's in Under Armour, and my buddy Billy Hook, who I roomed with for 3 years, and he's doing his thing as a coach. And it's just it's nice to see, that we've come along this way, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I always stay in touch with those, and we also do a fantasy football team.
Very cool. That's
I have
awesome.
a fantasy football team, and with 9 other guys, and the Blue Jay Cup that we have, or the Roderick Cup. So that's a good way to kind of stay in touch.
Niko, did you say the Roderick Cup?
Yeah, I
That's
think
awesome.
it's the Roderick Cup that we called it. So yeah.
That's awesome, Niko. Very, very cool. But yeah, it's amazing how you meet these people your very first year at Etown, and they just become your family, and you move into all these phases of life together. It's really neat. Really
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, we're all having kids now, and
Yeah.
that's going to be surreal once we're setting up our play day. We haven't seen each other in like 2 years, and now we're going to see each other with all these kids. It's interesting.
Crazy. Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool, Niko. Well, Niko, so with that, why don't you talk to me a little bit about some of your favorite memories from Etown? Like if you think back to some of your most profound moments, or maybe most comical moments, what would some of those be like?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just being with the soccer team was great. So many good memories there. There was so much to do at E-Town, and even going off campus. But there was one thing, just thinking about this today, that makes me laugh. When I was a freshman, I get a text. I was in class, and it was a Friday afternoon, and I got a text that, from one of the upperclassmen, that they were meeting in the Oberloop, and, everyone to be there at this time. And I was like, I still have class for another hour or so. And at the time, I didn't know what to do. I was kind of weighing, should I stay? Should I go? And then I just keep getting these texts like, come on, we're leaving. And so I just decided to get up and walk out of class. And it was like one of the craziest things I've done up to that my point in my life in terms of school. But I come back, over the weekend, and I walk into class, and everyone's smiling at me, and a couple of people are clapping. I'm like, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, what's going on here? And they said, well, yeah, after you left, the professor thought class was over, so class was dismissed, and because you walked out. So I just thought, that was a really, funny moment for me. And, and just how, the seniors, the, upperclassmen were always good to us, and, especially with the soccer team. And,
Mhm.
it was a great experience from that aspect too.
Yeah, no, Niko, I hear you, and I could very much see it being like a brotherhood in a sense. And
Yes, it is.
I think what's the beauty of E-Town, and I don't know that other schools or universities have this, but you really see a mix of the upperclassmen and the lowerclassmen, and in some cases the upperclassmen take the lowerclassmen as a mentor and a role model throughout the time that they're there together. So I agree with you. I think that was something that was definitely profound during my time there. And you meet upperclassmen in your majors, because we have that kind of tight-knit community going on.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm right on board with that. So Niko, tell me a little bit about, kind of moving away from E-Town and your time as a student. We're going to talk about, let's go back here. So, Sidekicks Support Services began at E-Town, and without giving too much away from what we're going to talk about later, tell me a little bit about the class and where you were on campus when you had this idea of Sidekick Support Services?
Yeah, absolutely. So it all really started in entrepreneurship class. Um, at the time, my soccer career that I alluded to earlier was ending, and now it was time to find a job and find something to do. After graduation, I would be at that time the first person in my family to graduate. So finding a good job was really important, but in this class, the idea was to develop a business idea, and it was on one of the first day of classes, and that was the project. So over the weekend, I came back and I had three ideas. One was a late night food restaurant. One was a tutoring service for people with disabilities, and three was some embarrassing idea that I don't even remember. But I was walking into the class prepared to give the food presentation.
Sure.
And the idea was, people would vote on their favorite project, and top three people with the votes would be project managers for that semester and work on that project.
Okay.
But I don't know what it was, but at the last second, I was like, maybe, I guess my background, I've been in the food and diner, restaurant, whatever. Mm-hmm. I changed it, and I talked, I gave my pitch, so to speak, and I sat back down, and a couple of people gave their pitch, and Petru asked, all right, they went around the room, who's this idea, who's in favor of this, and people would raise their hands and came to me, and everyone in the class raised their hand on my idea. And I was like, wow. And at that time, Caitlin, I'm not afraid to say it, but I wasn't the best student. I really struggled with school.
Sure.
And just, I was still trying to find my way. And I knew deep down that, I could offer a lot, even though I didn't have, the best grades.
Sure.
So at that moment, just perspective, like to see that from my peers it gave me a lot of confidence. Like, wow, like this is actually an idea. And so throughout the semester, I was able to work on that. I had a couple of people working on it with me. I was the project manager. So, and part of it was doing market research, and I was really touched by those stories of the families who really needed help and needed support. And just from my background growing up and being involved in so much in, the special needs community, I realized that there's a big problem, that there's not many quality support service outlets, and these parents are stuck, and these individuals are stuck. And so, what happened was throughout the semester, I kept working on it. And, I called my dad one day after, he would send me like a newspaper with like $5, $10, so I can, have a little cash on the side. And I called him, and after, getting my mail, and I said, hey, I have this idea. No one's given me an opportunity for a job. What if I did this? I think it's a good idea. And he said, I was so nervous about what he was going to say, because I was the first person to graduate my whole life. He would yell at me at the restaurant, you better get an education, you better get a job, all this stuff. And but I said, I have this idea. What do you think? If you're okay with it, I want to, really double down on this and give it a try. And he said, yeah, go for it. You're not married, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have really responsibilities. If you're going to do anything, do it now. So I, made a left out that, where the mailboxes. I went to the school store and I bought a notebook, and I went to the Hyde Library and just started working, with the idea, we're just going to give it a shot. And it wasn't until the middle of the summer where I fully committed, but, that's where it really, got its start.
Now, Niko, remind me, so this would have been your senior year at Etown then?
Yes, this is my senior year at Etown. Fall semester is when I decided to take it another level. And then I decided spring semester, I should leave here with a business plan at least, and then go from there. I was taking like 2 classes. One of them was yoga or something like that. So I had a little bit more time on my hands. So I made use of my time and the resources at Etown to work on my business plan. And I was even able to get, in some of my classes, work on it as part of my project. So that in itself was like amazing.
Yep, I hear you. And so and as you mentioned, it really kind of took off that summer. So this would have been summer 2013, right after you graduated, is when it really became formed. I mean, you were rocking and rolling, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I took, like a week or two off, and I would work on it a little bit day by day. And my thing was, why not? Why not? I was looking for, like, what's the catch? Why can't I do this?
Sure.
Why have I gone, like, I could never find it. And I made a final to-do list, and I said, I need to start by November. And we did. So, it's just, that's when we just took it, from there.
Yeah, very cool, Niko. Well, like I said, we're going to save it to talk about Sidekicks a little later.
Sure.
I first really want to talk about something that I feel like is a very big piece of your heart and your mind, and you come from a long line of this. So talk to me a little bit about your background in family business and in entrepreneurship.
So I grew up in a family business. I was very fortunate. It's a big part of who I am. My grandfather immigrated from Greece to America in 1969. He started working in a diner, and eventually he gained ownership of the diner, and then he brought over my mom. And my mom worked at the diner, and then my mom and my dad while vacationing in Greece. And my dad then came over, and then, my uncle got involved, and then that's, when we sold it about 2 years ago, but that was a big part, I mean, that's where I spent a lot of my time. I started working there when I was like 12. I grew up there, that was my place. I learned how to take care of people. I learned how to, take care of your customers, and how to work. And it's a lot to run a restaurant. And that's, it's hard to do. That's a big reason why I didn't want to do that. It's just, but, I wouldn't be anywhere without that. Not everyone has that opportunity. And that's something that I feel a little bit lucky for, but it was really a great place to grow up in, and great environment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure I can only imagine how amazing it was to watch your dad and watch your grandfather, you said too,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what an incredible experience for a kid, and then kind of growing up to a teenager and adult to see this and have that part of your family must be truly, truly incredible. And instills a sense of pride into you as well, which, it's invaluable. So,
Absolutely.
let's talk about, Niko. How do you define entrepreneurship? Like, how do you view entrepreneurship? And I know it can take many forms and mean different things to many different people in many different sectors of business. So, but how would you define it?
Yeah, I mean, I think entrepreneurship as a whole, being an entrepreneur just means that you solve problems with valuable and sustainable solutions.
Yeah.
You just took a sip out of your glass. You need a glass, like you needed something to, drink out of, like to, you need a bookcase, something to put all your books. I mean, that's just, I'm just using those examples just right there. I mean, but that's where everything comes from. It's a problem. It all started with a problem. And you can't just create a valuable solution. You need to create a solution that, is sustainable and is going to last over time. And, when it comes down to it, that's just what I believe, entrepreneurship is.
So solving solutions, and I'm not putting that's essentially what it comes down to, is solving solutions. Now, some of those solutions might be a lot easier than others, but yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Niko. And in that, what kind of challenges, and then we'll talk about benefits, but in your time serving or being an entrepreneur, what has been some of your biggest challenges?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges that you face as an entrepreneur, typically. And in the beginning, I think the biggest thing I had that tried the challenge was I had a great service. I had a great team, and just no one was giving me the chance. And that was so frustrating. Like, I remember calling my office so many times just to make sure the phone wasn't broken. And I was just like, so, frustrated by that. And I have this great thing. We mean well. And I know we're new, but give us a chance. And I mean, that was tough. And, having to make the decisions all the time, being the last line of everything is kind of, a lot. And learning how to have a work-life balance and taking care of yourself, because there were days where I didn't have my first meal till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. It's just not that I just was so busy and, and trying to get things off the ground and, um, and just being that one person that oversees everything
Yep.
is like a lonely feeling at
Yeah,
times.
sure.
It's hard. And,
Sure.
I think some of those are probably the things that you wouldn't really think of, and just learning how to put your phone away at times. Like
Yeah.
I really had to learn, like, all right, like 5 o'clock, I'm done. Like I need to, because burnout's a real thing.
Sure.
And, so, I mean, so those are some of the challenges. And, as you grow, there's more challenges. There's, the bigger you get, the more problems you have, and,
Absolutely.
staffing and,
Absolutely.
that was, there's a lot with that, and trying to figure it out. A lot of it, how you learn, is just by making the mistake, admitting your mistake. And, I can't tell you how many times I said, all right, let's move forward. We'll correct this and move forward, correct this and move forward. And that's just how it was. That's how we lived.
Yep, absolutely. So let me ask you that, Niko, kind of branching off that. What do you use as a guiding light? What do you use when you're stuck on something? You're like you said, you're the end of the road. The decision stops with you, and whatever you decide is going to be what happens. So what do you use as a guiding light? And again, I don't want to give too much about what we're going to talk about with Sidekicks, but how do you gauge the answers to those questions?
Yeah, I mean, whenever I'm stuck, I always just go back to what my purpose is. Why did I start this? I started this to enrich lives, to make a difference, to make an impact.
Sure.
And that's just kind of what gets me over the bump there. And, it's just crazy sometimes being an entrepreneur that you just have the answer at times. Like, I don't know what it is, but like there haven't been too many times where I think a lot of people know what the answer is to their problems, but they just don't want to act on it. They know in their gut that what they need to do,
Absolutely,
but will make rationalizations on why they're not doing it.
right.
And I think sometimes you just need to make the tough call, do the tough thing. And, and I talk to my team constantly. I always love another opinion on something. So if it's a big decision, I'm going to get 2 or 3 opinions on something before I move forward with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Niko. I think that makes sense. And so how did Etown kind of define entrepreneurship for you a little further?
Yeah, I remember just sitting in class and Petra was talking about, entrepreneurship just being valuable. And I think he gave an example of someone that, was just doing good in the community and, your legacy. And, I started to think about like, what can I leave behind when I'm gone? And I hope this company is still here when I'm gone. And that's important, and then maybe I'll pass it along to my son or other son that's coming in July. So, I mean, that was kind of, and then just, he had a lot of guest speakers that came and, they really shed the light on how difficult it was. And that made me, all right, I like a challenge. Let's do it. And, but it was just kind of that, it's like all business is value and problem solving. And it just kind of shed the light there.
Sure. No, I hear you. And to go back a little bit, Niko, when you in your initial phases, when you were presenting to your class and everybody in the class voted on your proposal, I mean, how incredible. Like you had to have known at that point that, I have something that is truly incredible and it's going to leave an amazing mark on the world and be so beneficial to people and their families. So it's very, very cool. So to end that kind of our entrepreneurship conversation, Niko, what words of advice do you have for somebody who has an idea or who's somebody who wants to start their business, but is just a little shy or just isn't quite sure?
That's a great question. And, I think you really need to question if it's something that means a lot to you, because there are going to be extremely tough times. And, what's going to push you forward is that purpose. And I would just tell people that they need to just do it, stop talking about it. There's a lot of work ahead of you, so you got to get going. But it's hard, how am I going to get the money? Is it going to work? What if I waste my time? What if I make myself look silly? What if I hurt somebody? What if I do something wrong? Like, those are all things that, you think about when starting a business, but we're programmed to, as humans, sometimes think negatively. And I think if you can just be positive, have patience. It takes a long time. I've been doing this 8 years. I didn't really take anything for myself until year 4 or 5.
Sure.
So patience is such a huge thing. Like in a day today where, you get frustrated when your website doesn't load in 0.2 seconds, it's just like, it takes time. So, I would just say, if you're considering starting a business, be very, very passionate about what you're doing, your product or service. Be patient and, really believe in yourself, because no one else is going to believe in yourself for you. Like, you have to do that. And it can be tough, but those are things you need to go back to when times are tough.
Absolutely. Oh, Niko, that was just so great. You just put that so perfectly. So Niko, I know we kind of have a video clip to show our audience. But I think before I show that, could you give me just an idea or what is Sidekicks? Let's start with that. What is Sidekicks Support Services? And then we'll look to play that video for our audience.
Sure. So every superhero needs a sidekick, right? And, individuals with disabilities, and just from my experience and everything, are superheroes for the challenges they overcome, for the bravery, for proving people wrong. And, every superhero just needs a sidekick. And, what we do is we provide support services for individuals with disabilities and families. So really anything that promotes independence, that promotes social skills, that promotes, assistance with activities of daily living, going out into the community. Our goal is for our individuals to be independent as best they can, and, and just show them the way through, different, we have speech therapy, we have behavior therapy, we have adult services, and then we have individualized support services. And it's just a comprehensive list of programs, a little bit for everybody. And what we do is we promote independence, socialization, and then inclusion. And the biggest thing with us is we hire people who are value driven, driven by our purpose of enriching lives and our values of serving with a purpose, team, and doing the right thing, and are there because they understand that this is an opportunity and a privilege to make a difference. And to say, hey, I helped him tie his shoes, right. Or hey, I helped him make a friend, or right. Hey, I helped her, establish a routine after school so she's comfortable, and I helped her how to, set up her iPad and, so she can, talk to people. And so, we do a lot of different things in that aspect, but as a whole, that's what we do.
Very cool, Niko. Well, Niko, without further delay, why don't we go ahead and share the video, and we're going to hear from some folks at Niko's company here, and it's just really neat. So we're going to go ahead and play that.
Sidekicks gave me a great experience. I learned a lot from working with the staff, working with the children. I gained a lot of experience from it. It's nothing but positive vibes in Sidekicks. The administration and staff are great. The kids I work with are great. Everything's been a great experience.
Everybody's heart is in it, and they're all working with the clients, with the same purpose, to improve their quality of life, to help their families, and everybody kind of seems to have that mindset within the company, and that's what I take from it, because I think at the end of the day, that's the reason why we all do what we do.
It's nice that we have a nice intimate group of people, and we're trying to expand our knowledge and education on ABA and expand our services. So I think it's a great company to work for.
So, but Niko, I have to tell you, I absolutely love the whole premise of every superhero needs a sidekick. And I think too, like what you're saying is the superhero is the child or the adult, and then your the sidekick is the person that you've hired to be with this person. I mean, it's just, the premise of it is truly incredible. And it's just really, really neat. So Niko, tell me a little bit about those individuals we heard from through that video, and how you hire these folks, how they come about, that whole process.
Absolutely. So I mean, hiring is, especially when you're a new company, and it's tough to get people on board with your mission. But I mean, just over the years, as we continue to grow, and it's one of the biggest things I look for is people who have that, are in it for the right reasons, and because that's what it's all about. One of the individuals that video was 2 years ago, but one of the individuals, Corey, she's actually our now ABA clinical director. And because like a lot of that, what she said there is it's just exactly who we are. And hiring was it's not a proven science, but I mean, in the beginning it was hard because, I just wanted people to be a part of it. And, but over time, I learned that I had to be more selective and had more systems in place, and and just hired around that one purpose. And it doesn't matter how old you are, where you come from, or but if you share that purpose of enriching lives, then we want you.
Absolutely. Now, Niko, you said do you say ABA certified? Can you talk about what that means too?
Yeah, so we have now 9 board certified behavior analysts on our team, who oversee ABA therapy programming. Applied behavior analysis is, a systematic scientific way to navigate behavior. And so we break a lot of, tasks into smaller pieces and take data. And, when we work from there, it's just a scientific way of, working on behaviors that promote independent socialization. So that's a program that we offer. And that was the program where we just, received an accreditation for as well.
Okay. Very, very cool. Now, Niko, you had first connected with the Alumni Association earlier this year. And I, for one, I'm so thankful that you did. I'm so thankful that we've connected in the ways that we have, and that we're able to feature you this evening. And I know during that time, Sidekicks was just becoming accredited, if I'm saying that correctly. Yes. Tell me about that. Tell me about that process. Well, let's first, we'll start with the process. I have a ton of questions for you, but let's start with the process first.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just really an audit on how we do things from an outside organization. And a lot of the things we already had in place, which was great. But it was just validation, for me. And my whole time starting this, I just wanted people to know that I'm going to take care of you if you give me a shot.
Sure.
But, I don't have a background in special education. I don't have a background in psychology. I have a business background. So, but my staff, I have great clinicians. I have a great COO, Jamie Douglas, who she runs operations, and she came on board in 2016. She's going to celebrate her 5 years at Sidekick. She's
Very cool.
brings like the clinical aspect,
Sure.
excuse me, that I don't have. And,
Sure.
but it was a process like where everything was looked into, how we hire people, how we bring on, families, how we, HIPAA practices, all of that. And
Sure.
we got 100% on our audit, and we got our accreditation. And it was just a validation that, we are, doing things the right way, because I don't have anyone who I'm reporting to, so it's just nice that, someone approved and that we're doing the right thing, that we're not just doing it blindly.
Sure,
And
sure. Absolutely.
that was really important to us.
Absolutely. And Niko, talk to me about what was the accreditation, like what was the initials, I guess, for the accreditation? Like what was that called, and where was it? Who accredited it, I guess, if that's.
Yes, it's the Behavioral Health Center of Excellence. They're based out of California.
Okay.
And they're a third-party evaluator that's, provides accreditation for ABA therapy providers like myself.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Now, so did that a person actually come into your space and your facility? Is that?
Well, typically that's how it would work,
Okay.
But considering everything, the process started around last July.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And I was approached by, by them, and we kind of, took it into full swing around August or so, September, and we received our accreditation in January.
Very cool. Well, congratulations, Niko, because that's just, that's just really, really neat.
Thank you.
So, Niko, talk to me a little bit about what was one of your most profound moments as the owner of Sidekicks? Was it an employee? Was it one of your clients? Where did that come from? And there might be more than one, and please speak to that.
Yeah. Well, I have a moment that stuck out that, personally, business-wise was, difficult. But in terms of profound moments, like what's addicting to me, what selfishly I love, is when a family emails me and says, what a great job, everyone has done, and my individual, has grown so much. And from the first couple of families that I've gotten it to, I've just always wanted more of that. And those moments are where you take a second, you take a breath and say, all right, everything that you're doing is worth it.
Yep.
It's a little validation. So those moments are amazing. And then a lot of what we do, it's not the end game for a lot of our staff as therapists who are going to be teachers, who are going to go for their license. So,
Sure.
We have people who, come with us and then go on, and they say, I would have never thought I would love this field so much, and I have so much experience to go into the field now. And I like to think we train our staff so they can train and teach the masses. And those moments for me that someone resigned today after working with us for 6 years because she's going to be a vice principal, and she said, I just can't do it, the part-time job anymore. But, I learned so much with you guys. And like, typically you would be upset if someone resigned, but,
Sure.
I understood, like, you were here for 6 years, and you have all these great things to say about us. And, I wish you wholeheartedly 100% all the best. And so those moments are great for me. But I think, every business goes through phases of, the startup and the growth and the maturity. And back in 2017, 2018, where it was tough years for us, I overhired. I had to take over the billing aspect, which I didn't know anything about.
Wow.
I was going on months without getting paid. I kept hearing 2 weeks away. Oh, you didn't dot this I, and all these claims. And that was a really tough time for me because capital was running.
Sure.
I had to pay my staff, and
Sure.
and it was months of just aggravation and not sleeping at night. And I just was so upset, just like thinking about, I have all these families that depend upon me. I have these staff who need the work and
Right.
need the experience, and that weighs a lot on you. But we worked it through, and eventually we got our payment, we got our system set up, and we made it through. But like those things, like you have no choice but
Yep.
to succeed. And you really learn a lot about yourself and what you can manage, and mentally and physically and emotionally. And but that was a proud moment for me, like after months of aggravation and holding the ship together, we made it through. And
you came out on the other end, Niko, and
yes.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
incredible. Now, Niko, specific to Sidekick, so tell me a little bit about how it works. Do you have a place where your clients come? Do you send your staff into the homes? Like, how does that whole process work?
Yes, great. And I should have mentioned that earlier, but what we do is we provide in-home or community-based services.
Okay.
So we'll come into the home, one of our supervisors, whichever program a family's looking for. We'll come into the home, get an idea of what the families are looking for, what are some of the, individuals' interests, hobbies, so we can, understand how to pair with them, and then we'll find a sidekick, or bring in a sidekick, to the family, and go from there, and maintain constant communication, and check in on goals and all of that.
Very cool. Very cool. And then when you say community based, is it more group centered, or yeah? Okay.
No, so community based is just taking individuals out to the community.
Gotcha.
Bingo, or some of our adults, hey, let's check your fridge. What do you got? We need to go to the store. This is what we need to get. Your laundry's piling up. Come on, let's do your laundry. Things like that.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's more going out into the world a little bit more than the whole. I gotcha. Okay, very
and
cool.
helping adults with disabilities. Just be helping hand, and
sure.
A guide, and just someone to check in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Niko, it's just really, really cool. So Niko, tell me about, and I know this is kind of, a hot topic right now, but how has Sidekicks pivoted during the pandemic? And I know, like you say, you had people going out, you had people going in the home. So how did you navigate that? And then also I saw in the video, there was a Zoom of it looked like I saw you on there with your staff. I'm assuming that was during the pandemic.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So tell me a little bit about how Sidekicks has pivoted since the pandemic kind of struck.
Yeah. So I remember we always have our team meetings every Tuesday, same time. And we were checking in, and we were like, all right, well, things are getting a little crazy, but, our families are still intact, and we're doing okay. And we left that meeting within a couple hours. This family's not comfortable with services. This family's not comfortable with services. And I just kept getting these messages. It's this family will check in 4 weeks, and this family. And then, it's like something that you built for 8 years.
Sure. You
see it just like falling apart. And, we didn't know what to do. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. I don't think anybody knew what was going on.
And Niko, these would have been the beginning months. So like last March, last April time.
This was the beginning of it all.
Okay.
And then, I got over my pity party, and I said, all right, how can we help our families? Like how do we need to make this work somehow? And so I remember just staying up at night and researching and figuring out how we're going to do virtual services, and talking to my mentors, my people. I watched every single webinar on telehealth and stuff like that, and the morale was so low, and like I was low, but I can't come into a meeting being low.
Yeah, sure.
We're just having to be the biggest cheerleader, when deep down inside I was very worried and anxious. And but I remember our first, like that week later, we had our next meeting, and I said, listen, we're going to be okay. We're going to do this. We're going to find a way to take care of our families. We've been working remotely for 7 years now. We know how to do this. Mm-hmm. It's not new to us. And, we're just going to ride this wave. And, that's what we did. And it was tough at the time, because both of my parents and my wife Kelly's parents, they live in the area, and we were being cautious, and we have a little boy, so I would be doing business meetings holding my son in my arm, and but I mean,
Yeah,
we just made it work,
for
you
sure.
know, and it's just like the biggest thing, Caitlin, though, was talk about like a pity part. Like there was no room for me to be, poor me when there's businesses going completely out of business and people are getting sick and dying. And so I think the biggest thing is perspective. And that kind of goes with starting a business too, is you need to have perspective on what's around you, what's going on, and how some things aren't as important. You have your business might be falling apart, but you have your health, you have, your everything else, you have food on the table. And, that kind of created, kind of a sense of calm that like, let's just think about what we have versus what we don't have and go from there. And
Absolutely.
I think that's best practice for anyone having a bad day. I mean, that's talk about things that, I need, like I do sometimes where, I just feel like everything's going wrong my way. Let's just start with the basics. We have a home, we have food, we have, and those are things like perspective, I think is the only word that, got us through. But I mean, it was funny because we wanted to add telehealth and virtual services in the third quarter of the year. So we do our annual meetings in that January. And we were like, all right, let's look into telehealth and stuff. Maybe not the first quarter, maybe at the second quarter.
Right.
Let's do it the third quarter. And ultimately we achieved our annual goal, but not in the way that, we really thought was going to happen.
Yeah. Very, very, very cool, Niko. Well, Niko, do you have any, before we kind of sign off here, do you have any parting thoughts or any parting wisdom, anything you want to add about Sidekicks before we sign off?
Yeah, it takes a lot. And then, I've had a lot of people at Etown who I'm able to talk to about Sidekicks and get some advice from, and throughout the years, and I just wouldn't be able to do it without them. And they probably didn't want to hear what I was going through all the time and about my business and stuff like that, but people would listen. And,
Yeah.
Even the faculty and staff, and, I'm very appreciative of that. And my experience is there, and, welcome, people to, connect with me again. And,
Yep.
Even for aspiring entrepreneurs. And I love to talk about, that, and love to give back in that sense and
Sure.
help people be successful. I mean, that's, very important to me. And so I'm always here, and I'm very appreciative of my time at Etown.
Well, Niko, that's awesome. And Niko, for anybody who's watching that wants to learn more about Sidekick Support Services, where would you tell them to go?
Yeah, great. www.sidekicksupport.com, facebook.com/sidekicksupport, instagram.com/sidekicksupport. There's a lot more on what we do on our social media channels. And yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Niko, thank you so much again. What you're doing is just, I mean, it's inspirational. It's admirable. You're just an incredible alum, and definitely one that as a college and as an alumni association, we are so incredibly proud of, and just rooting for you all along the way. So thank you so much for giving us an insider's view and your inspiring perspective on entrepreneurship and your time at Etown. And we've enjoyed introducing you to the Blue Jay alumni community, and we're just so grateful. So yeah.
That means more than you know. That means more than you know. Thank you so much. And thank you.
Thank you, Niko. And in the months ahead, we're going to be having some more alumni features. We'll be having a Meet the Professor series. And we're also going to be doing, Niko, our first virtual alumni paint night. We're going to paint a Blue Jay next Tuesday. So we're looking forward to that. But but this video will also be available on all of our social media channels and posted on our website as well. So Niko, thank you so much again for joining us. And have a good evening.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for watching. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.